Snapchat video too? Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, here we go.
Hey everybody.
Caught us off guard.
It's Brooke and Terrell Harris from theopenbox.com, and we have guests with us. We have Joe and Tara and Sarah here. And they're not going to be on camera because they're scaredy cats, but you will hear their voices. So today we are going to talk about How to Hear from God, Part 2. Now last week we talked about ways in which God speaks to us, and so I'm just going to review real quick, just listing them out. We talked about prayer. We talked about through scriptures and the Bible. We talked about audibly like a voice. We talked about through our faith, through experience, through dreams and visions, through prophecy, in nature, and then sometimes in unexpected ways. And so just in hearing that, is there anything that you all have to say about that or want to add to that list?
Did you say like a gut feeling, like something in your gut?
Not in that way.
Not in that way, but yeah.
But like something inside you, but not like a feeling necessarily. Just
Yeah. Like a knowing or like an intuition?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's your experience with that? Okay.
Is that typically how you feel it? Or how you...
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much. Pretty much.
Do y'all have anything to add? No, that's it?
Everybody gets heavenly voices.
So I've listed like 10 things, and that's it. God speaks no other ways.
Is it typically a man's voice?
I feel like for me, God speaks mostly through experience.
Okay.
I don't know if I necessarily hear a man's voice or a woman's voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just through things that happen in my life on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So is it more like a reflection, like, and then you could piece it back together?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also through music or like
Music.
movie, art. Like
We hadn't talked about that.
We
That's a
had
new one.
not
that
talked
comes
about
into
art.
it, kind of.
We had not talked about art. And
That's
I
a
did
good one.
I did say nature. Yeah. So so then add to nature. Like in what ways with nature?
I think I find peace most in certain places in nature, and I think that's when I can hear from God most, or when I can kind of look back and reflect on things and feel assured or dismayed about something and change if need be.
So then sometimes when we're talking about the way in which God speaks, we're talking about in the moment, but then we're also talking about in the past. Especially when you say, because if we're talking about experience, then especially looking back and reflecting back, then even if in that moment God was speaking, our acknowledgement of it is in the future, whereas it happened in the past. Okay. And then you said in the moment sometimes, just that knowing. Okay. And so that's one of the other things that I had was thinking about the wisdom and teachings of other people. Like even though we talk about experience, a lot of times we'll talk about our own, but also just the ways in which other people tell us things or say things to us, whether it's a word that they say or even their own life experience. So I think that can be a difference. Do y'all have any experience with that?
You mean people like pastor, spiritual guide, or
Anybody.
lay men and women?
Anybody. I don't discriminate.
I mean, I would say all of the above for me. Children, I mean, people in general, I think,
Children, that's a good one.
can be messengers of God, especially if you're open to hear. For me, I'm not gonna jump in.
What happened?
Well, for me, I think my spirit kind of has to be aligned to that person in some sense. Like it might be something wrong, something that I need to fix, because everything can't be a vessel. Everyone can't be a vessel for me.
Yeah.
I don't do something.
You don't do what?
People.
She doesn't hear from
receive
them.
from
Okay.
They say, what do they say? You got to test the spirit anyway. So
Test
yeah.
the spirit by the spirit.
Which isn't necessarily, it hadn't been explained to me how you test the spirit. Especially if somebody's expressing something urgent to you. I can see if they're, expressing something a little bit further out or maybe projecting something in the future. But in terms of actually, like if it's something urgent, I don't know how you would go about testing that. So that's something we probably could look into. I think it's cliche. I think people tend to say that, but then we just kind of leave it there, like, oh, we're gonna test the spirit.
I've never heard that phrase before.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know what that means.
Maybe it's more of a black church thing. We have
It is in the
our.
scripture, though.
It is.
Yeah.
In the Bible.
Yeah, it is. I've heard it, but I think it's one of those things that a lot of times people talk about, but there's no real explanation. So, like when I first got into church, and people were like, "Oh, you hear from God. Read the Bible. You'll hear from God." And I would read the Bible. I'm like, I'm not hearing anything. Like
Yeah.
this is not a way in which God speaks to me. Am I doing something wrong? Am I not where I need to be spiritually? So I think it's one of those things where they're saying it, but there's no real explanation behind it. And some people, they might naturally understand what it means, but for others of us, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's just not the mode for us. But it's funny, Joe, you were talking about the spirit has to align for you with them, or you don't receive from everybody. I remember somebody saying once,
Can you speak up a little?
I remember somebody saying once, the truth is the truth no matter who says it.
Yeah, I rolled my eyes at that. So y'all didn't see it. I rolled my eyes about that.
But it's funny because I actually kind of believe that.
What?
I do.
If it's the truth,
What are we okay? So can you define truth? Because are you talking about when people say the Bible is the truth, or is like biblical? Like what is truth? Not like this phone case is black or your shirt is black. Like what do you mean by truth?
What I mean by
Yeah.
truth is whatever it is that I need to hear. Whatever it is
Okay.
that the divine needs for me to know. So I'm saying that's truth, whatever that is.
Okay.
And that can come from someone that you don't necessarily have a bond with.
I think so.
Yeah.
Now, does it mean that I'm going to receive it? Does it mean that I like you and that I'm not going to ignore you? Could you quickly tell me, well, I remember somebody said that to me a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago, somebody said to me,
Oh, is it back there?
there it is. Somebody said to me a long time ago when I was working somewhere, oh, God told me to give you a hug right now. And I was like, okay. And I gave him a hug, and I was thinking, really? Because I don't really like when people hug me at that time. I like it now, but back then I didn't. So I was like, okay, I don't know who was talking to you, but I didn't receive it. So you know what I mean? Like sometimes I think it can be a little off, but I think, there's people who can be straight jerks, but they might have something to offer that is
Yeah,
there.
God uses all vessels.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at times for us.
So obviously
Unfortunately.
using Donald Trump right now. And you don't have to go.
Yeah, I don't have nothing to say about Donald Trump.
block topic. You can write that down.
Yeah, you can write that down. Donald Trump and other people. Another way that I've actually experienced God is out of my own mouth. Have you all ever experienced that? And what I mean by that is there have been times where I'll be ruminating on something or really thinking about something going on, doing some self-reflection, and I'll just start talking out loud. Now, I do not think that people who talk to themselves are crazy, but I'll start talking out loud, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, like I really needed that. And it came out of my mouth, and I said it, and I had to hear it back. And that for me was still something, for me, that was of God in that moment. Not all the time. Sometimes I'm just talking, but in those moments of having that Oprah aha.
I don't think I've ever talked to myself and had that. Maybe in
Mhm.
conversation with you or other people, and like, oh, you get a revelation,
Yeah.
and it'll come out.
hmm
I think some people could draw that out of it, but that's actually a good point. Because I've never ever thought that to be like hearing from God. It's more like, oh, thanks for helping me get to where I need to go. But I never related that to God, so that's a good.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
happens for me a lot when I'm like working with clients because sometimes like I'm talking to people and I'm like, I don't know if there's anything I can say that's going to help this person in this moment.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just like will pause and it'll come to me, or I'll just be talking and like I just somehow get there, and then that person feels comforted in some way.
Yeah.
And that feels very like divine intervention, because sometimes I'm like, I have no idea, or I'm not in the headspace to deal with this topic today,
Right.
but somehow I do.
Mhm. What about you guys? You ever experienced
I
that?
have. more so in talking, like Terrell said, when talking with other people.
Yeah.
Just like, so, and sometimes I'll write it down. So I'm like, I need to remember that.
Yeah.
Pray for this again. We already have the answer.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you still giving examples?
Yeah. If you have more, you can give us an example.
One example that I don't think I've mentioned, I used to get like revelation out of naps. So I would take a nap.
That's true. Oh my God.
I would take it, or like if I needed an answer, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. We got rid of my prayer couch or whatever it was. It was just a harsh futon, but
Very hard. Food time.
it was horrible. So anytime I would need something, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go take a nap, and I would go, whether it was creative things or just actually kind of anything. It just I totally forgot. So I used to purposely like I'm gonna meditate, really sleep. Let's be honest about it. It was really silly. We're gonna take a nap, and then I will wake up and have an answer. Actually, let's see. Did the open box come out of a nap?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think back. I think portions of it did, but not all of it.
With the
Sleep
nap-
is good, huh?
With the nap, did you just feel like you need to wake up in a clear headspace to hear the answer?
No, I think I waking up having clarity, so I just kind of kept doing it for other things and it just really started. I need to get back to napping. That's exactly what I'm
I
saying.
didn't think you moved away from napping. Doesn't he
Napping,
still
well,
talk about napping?
I always talk about napping. I mean, it's more napping with a purpose. I don't nap with purpose.
Okay. Napping with the
That should be a
That-
movement.
Purpose-driven nap.
Maybe my
Purpose-driven
hashtag.
nap.
Napping with purpose.
And it's, you know what? That's interesting because one of the other ways I was thinking about, for me, about maybe a way in which God could speak is through your body.
Yeah.
So even when you're talking about naps, sometimes when I think about like the stress and things that are in our bodies, like when I took what did I do earlier this month? I'm thinking this last month. Earlier this month, I did a Thai like yoga massage, and the woman started doing all this contortion stuff with me that I had never done before because it wasn't your typical massage. She was like, okay, she got on my back and pulled my arms back and did all this type of stuff, and I was just like, chest opened up, and I mean, it was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I like this or if I hate her. Like, it was just the craziest thing. But she was going at this like knot, like she went at this in my neck, in my upper back, in my lower back, and she's like, tight. And then she's like, okay, I got it out. And I was thinking, what have I been carrying in my body that I'm not paying attention to?
Good point.
You know, me being aware of what's going on in me that I've just kind of gathered over and over again. And just, so I just kind of feel like sometimes your body can be a way that is speaking to you. And especially for a lot of times when people are going through stuff and you have the pains and you have all this stuff, your body's telling you something. And so I don't know if we always think of that as divine, but I'm starting to think of it like that because it's a mind-body soul connection anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's, excuse me, one way. Anybody experienced that? Before I go on to another one that I thought of?
Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
I know.
Well, I typically do yoga, but I've never really. I usually just place it in the space of body, but I never actually connected back to the spiritual piece. I tend to try to do it in the day to get me loose and relaxed for the day.
Yeah.
But in terms of body, I think when I walk our dog, I'll get something through. So it's like a combination of body and nature because where I go to walk is it's not that secluded, but I tend to like be able to hear the birds and all this stuff when I listen. So I think it's a combination of body and nature.
But I think the thing about yoga, and I'm not 100% familiar, I mean, I've done it, that's a spiritual practice.
Yep.
In other parts of the world, whereas we're just seeing it as exercise. So there is a spirit-body connection for them in ways that it's not always done for us.
Viewers online, don't get scared off because you said yoga and we're Christians. You still could do yoga and not be considered a devil worshiper or whatever some people tend to think about.
Or you can do Christian yoga.
Yeah, Christian yoga, yeah.
What is that? I don't know. Put Christian on front of it and it's now Christian, whatever it is. I have no idea. Another thing, two more I think that I think about is our desires and also what we feel convicted or passionate about. And the passion can be like a like a passionate anger as well as a passion of like, oh, I really want to do this thing.
We're live. Like, hold on, right there. We're live, so you see that there's some interruption. We got a phone. Maybe it was God. That actually could have been a direct call.
Yeah, from Illinois. Yep.
Okay. God doesn't exist in Illinois. Should have answered it. Like, hello.
I think it was a solicitor. Anyway, so those are some of the ways that I was really reflecting on how we might experience God. And I think there are probably a bunch more. So if y'all have anything, let me know. Anything come up for y'all as we're talking about this other than what we already discussed?
No. That's it for me.
Really?
Oh, you know what? I don't know. Let me cheat and look
Is
at your
God
notes.
in a box?
No, let me cheat and look at your notes and be sure you're not going to touch on this.
Cheat, that's it.
Just one page.
Yeah.
I've experienced this once, and it scared me off, so I hadn't done it again.
Yeah.
But there was a spiritual practice. I can't remember the name of it, but you write you on one side and God on the other side, and you draw a line.
Yeah.
And then you write the question at the top, and you say, "What are you saying? What's the answer you're saying? What would God say?" I did that like one time and got all these answers. I was like, "Yo, this is crazy!" Like,
I did that before too.
I hadn't
That was a good
touched
one.
it since. It was just too. It was too overwhelming, like that. Like the answers I was getting, like me versus God or whatever. So I think it puts you in this different space to where you actually have to be purposeful about listening, hearing, and connecting. And it was kind of freeing, but it was like way too freeing. So I was like, this was cool. I got the answers I needed, but I ain't doing that
Oh,
again.
then you should do that again.
I ain't scared of it.
Exactly. Open box. Yeah, I've done that one before too, and I got answers. I don't know why I haven't done that again. I got answers too, and it was really powerful. And then I just kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to do that. I get you guys
Try
to
it
do
now
that.
on the spot.
That would be
Stop.
homework.
Homework, right? Yeah, that would be good. So then, all right. So if we talk about these ways in which, we might hear from God. How do you know it's really God?
That's a good question. So God and I have had this conversation that I don't do subtlety.
Subtlety? Okay.
I just can't see it in a butterfly. Like I need sometimes, not always, I need glaring signs, and sometimes I need multiple. So I don't have an exact answer to your question, but I think it's when for me personally, when I feel peace about it, especially something I'm wrestling with, when I feel peace about it, I'm like, okay. I might not like it. This might not be easy, but I'm okay. Or
I think for me, it may depend on my prayers though. Like, so some of my prayers may be complex to where I know, like, the answer is just not me. Like if I had, and I don't know if it's just because like for like simple stuff, I kind of pray and then I'm comfortable with putting in the work to kind of help hurry the process, which is not a good thing.
Okay.
Because I actually, from my perspective, I actually believe like a lot of times the things we pray for, we still have to put work in on our end.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm laughing at Sarah. She's
I
spilling
just
food
spilled
in her
food all
hand.
over myself. Sorry.
This has been an eventful live event. So for me, I think when I have complex prayers, like the expectation is any answer that I get is gonna be from God and nothing else. And I think I kind of know that. No, actually no. Let me stop. That's a tough question because I was gonna say I'm confident in knowing the difference, but I think because there's times I want to hurry things along,
Yeah.
I might not necessarily be listening to God if God is telling me to wait, not yet. Like, so those are the ones I have difficulty with. Wait, not yet, and
I can attest to that for you. Yeah. Okay.
We'll have to talk about that offline.
That's okay. We can share.
Right.
What about you guys? How do you know? How do you know this guy?
I feel like once I get an answer, even if it's the answer I want or don't want, then I realize that that's God responding.
You said that that's what?
That's God responding.
Okay. And so, do you get a sense of peace, like Joe said about it, or is it like a sort of knowing about it, or is it what is it that lets you know that okay, this is the answer that I got, so this must be God?
I think it's just a sense of knowing. I don't know that I necessarily feel peace all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like a sense of knowing
Yeah.
and hearing the same answer over and over.
Okay. So repetition.
Repetition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Repetition. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say like sometimes it's like a sense of it's definitely a knowing like this is the right outcome, this is the right situation, this is the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
And often it's not what I want or not the easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of one situation that I had recently with like just a friend and I who had like difficulty and like moved apart, and I had been thinking about it so much and praying on it and thinking like I need to know like how to handle this situation because it was eating up so much of my time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it just one day I just had this like thought just popped into my head like say like your piece and then just like let it go. And it would have been easier to just like kind of keep ignoring the situation,
Yeah.
or to approach it with a more reconciliation, like reconciling approach. But I don't know. I just got this sense that like this is time to like kind of put how I feel out there and then just like let what happens happen. And it was really hard, but after all was said and done, I was like, that was definitely the right path to take because I feel after everything is like worked its way out, I feel like not happy with the situation, but definitely like at peace with the situation.
Yeah. I think for me, peace is a big one too. And a lot of times I can get peace when it's what I want, something positive, but then even peace around things that I don't want, like, gosh, why do I have to do that? But I just know it's like that mix between the knowing and the peace, that this is what I should be doing or this is the direction that I should be going. But I also wanted to also think about the confirmation that we get, kind of like the repetition, but sometimes the confirmation that we might get outside of ourselves as well, because I've had that as well, and I talked about this last week, where it was like, okay, I think a similar situation with a friend, I think this friendship is over, I'm still ruminating on it, doing all this about it, and then getting the confirmation I remember from a sermon that I heard, and I was like, there it is, and I had a friend beside me, and she was like, there it is. I was like, yeah, all right.
I have the most embarrassing thing ever.
What?
I heard the song Bad Blood on the radio. Have you heard that Taylor song? It's like a terrible song and it's a horrible message, but it's about like, it's terrible. But it basically was like, there's a line about, I don't remember the line in particular, but like that song had just been released, like right as I was coming to it's so stupid, but right as I was coming to this like decision that like I needed to kind of just like let it go,
Yeah.
trying to make the situation something that it's probably never going to be again.
Yeah.
But this was a friendship with someone I've known since 14, so
Wow.
it's like but it was just one of those moments where I was like, that's so silly, but like sometimes silly things like they just hit you at the right time and you're like, who knew that I'd be taking confirmation from Taylor Swift? Super embarrassing. Super embarrassing.
Reverend Swift. I actually like Taylor Swift, but whatever. Yeah, but I think it can come from stuff like that. And the one thing that I realized, and I said this last week, is that sometimes it can mean the end of that thing for them, because that friend and I are actually friends now. But we stopped being friends for like 5 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So at that time, and even though we both have had the conversation that we kind of needed that time apart, and so that friendship did end. And the friendship that we have now is a newer kind of friendship. So sometimes it kind of circles back, depending, not always, but sometimes it can happen. And it was a really, really good thing because we had time to grow in the midst of that, and then from our experiences and all that, and we saw God in all that, and craziness and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
well,
it can happen.
In my case, I feel like it was a decision I made to kind of like, if like this is very new agey, but like if we're moving, like the energy in the situation was like moving in one direction, and I was like pushing back like constantly, like trying to make it work this other way, and just like hitting against pressure, moving the opposite direction. And I just made the decision to kind of like go with what seemed to be happening.
Right.
And that has like helped me feel just a lot better about the situation.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes I'm still sad.
Of course, because you still have to grieve that loss of a friend. So I think that's okay. Anything else? You keep looking at me.
No, because I was thinking, what you were saying, it brings up, I remember this experience in terms of going, like, signs being set up, but you go the opposite direction and you fight against it until you get kind of pushed over, and then you realize, like, oh, I should have been listening all this time. So that's what that brought up for me. I was thinking, like, oh, yeah, I remember that time where I kind of was saying, well, the situation, I was being prepared for this situation because the situation was a little bad or unhealthy for me. I was like, oh, I was getting so many signals that were familiar. I was like, oh, God prepared me for this moment. And in actuality, I should have been leaving. Those were the warning signs. Not like I prepared you for this moment so you could take it. It was like more the warning signals, like you need to get out. So I read it totally wrong. And
Why do you think you read it wrong?
That had to deal with a girl.
I know, of course it did. That's your story, but it is.
No, well, oh yeah, well, it kind of is, but
No, it is. If you hear his story, it's women throughout his story.
that led me to this point, including yourself.
I know.
We just make sure it stops here. Though. I can't continue.
Yeah, you're right.
Time out.
You're right.
Back in 30 seconds.
Anyway.
Well, why? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think at that point I just wanted something so bad that like the familiar situations made me feel like, oh, I got this, because I was able to get past prior situations and I was like, I can endure this. Is nothing. I faced these challenges before, so I'm here.
Well, it's like with people who have histories of like domestic violence in their past, they're used to certain signs and like ways of relating to people that it could feel very comforting.
Yeah.
And it's possible to read it as like a comforting thing rather than like these are the warning signs.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just because you're prepared for something doesn't mean you need to go through it. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we getting somebody. You got something right now?
I don't have anything. I just like that. It's so true because when I see warning signs for stuff, my first thing is like, oh, where's the door? Like I'm not like, how can I stay, or let's work. How can we? It's like I'm out.
That's not necessarily true, because you even asked me in certain situations. And I don't know if last week's conversation sparked this, like, what is God trying to tell you, or why do these certain circumstances keep repeating?
Yeah, no. I agree that a lot of times things do repeat because there is something for us to learn. But I've grown to the point where it's like, I'm out. Like, I don't want to deal with this. But it depends on the situation. Like, when I was dealing with stuff with my family, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm out. Now I've changed how I've related to that. So I kind of am like that, but I do it in a different way, as opposed to really getting in, trying to work it. Or when it comes to other people, or depending on our relationship, I'll be quick to be like, I know.
I think the question we have to ask to God is, should we deal with it? Like, is this a learning experience, or are we supposed to bounce? And I don't think I've ever, at least prior to now, or prior to recently, I hadn't asked that question.
Yeah.
So it's like, am I supposed to stay and endure this because you have something greater on the other side, or are you telling me, get out of there now before I hurt myself?
Right.
Which is a question I'm gonna ask myself tonight.
As you should, as you should. So anyway, I'm going to throw out a few more things in terms of how to really know it's God. So we talked about the confirmation, the peace, that knowing. Also thinking about when things get clear, just having a sense of clarity. We talked about the repetition, the consistent prompting, and sometimes when things when the answer you get doesn't fully make sense, I think sometimes that's how you can know that it's God. Not always, but in some cases, because a lot of times the things that we want, and sometimes when we're praying, we're hoping for a certain answer, and so the thing that we get isn't always that. And so that can be a way to know that, you know what, this might just be God, because this is not what I want to hear. This is very different. Um, Also, I'm distracted. Sorry. Also, if it's something for our higher good, or if it's one of the things I really think about is our ego. Like you were
Yeah.
talking about, oh, I can deal with this and all of that, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking about, is that really that you can deal with it, or is that you? Like, I can deal with this. I can handle anything
Probably a
about your own
combination of that.
ego.
Yeah, a combination of that.
Because I feel like a lot of times, if it's about our ego, it's probably not going to be as much. I'm not going to say 100%. It's not going to be as much this big revelational godly thing, because that's just us. And a lot of times we play the role of God for ourselves all the time.
Pin in that. So the question is, does your ego block you from hearing from God?
So the question is, does your ego block you from hearing from God?
Oh, was that a question we're supposed to ask?
You're the one who asked it.
I was asking the people out there. I
And they're
mean,
here. I'm not going to ignore the people here.
Okay.
Does your ego block you from hearing from God?
I'll go first. I'd say, actually, you know what? I like to do sports references. Yes. And so, like, I could say, even in the context of me doing exercises or just taking on tasks I shouldn't take on, yes, my ego could block me from hearing from God at times. I admit it. Not that I'm Superman or anything like that, but just, I kind of, again, I like to challenge myself to stretch my limits, and I think at times I shouldn't necessarily be challenging myself.
Yeah.
And that's an ego thing.
Would you consider pride the same as ego or different? Because I feel like pride can be something that prevents me from wanting to see the right way in what God is telling me.
But
Like,
do you consider them the same?
no, but it's related. Like
Okay.
pride, because you have too much pride. I'm trying to see how pride relates to ego, and like my mind is blank. So
That's fine. We can come back to it.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I see them as a little related. I'm not sure if they're the same or not, but I definitely think they're related. Just because if I'm prideful in this moment, then it is about me and whatever it is that's going on for me. Even if the thing that's going on for me is a sense of being right or a lack of openness or something like that. So I personally connect that with the ego, and that it's self-serving without looking outward in some way. And so I can definitely see how that can be a blocker. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, one more, and this one is the one that I can fully relate to. A lot of times I don't know that something is of God when it's pushing me out of my comfort zone, and when I know that I'm like fearful. Like, gosh, I really should do this, or this is so much out of my comfort zone because it's risky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big one for me where I'm like, oh gosh,
Because it causes you to use a lot of faith too.
absolutely.
You start a church plant.
Who would do that?
Yeah, who would do that? Who would risk that?
Absolutely. So yeah, any other ones that come to mind for you guys? You want to come? Go
I'm
ahead.
going to answer the does your ego block you from
Okay.
hearing from
Go
God?
ahead.
I'm going to say no, but my insecurities and or weaknesses definitely.
That's a good one.
Insecurities and weaknesses.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
These are actually, yeah, we're kind of just sitting here like, oh man, this is what's actually. So, I mean, the conversation is how do we hear from God, but it kind of turned into like what is blocking us from hearing from God, which is actually a good thing to reflect and think about. I think oftentimes in church we're taught to hear, but we don't ever talk about those things that prohibit us from actually hearing and experiencing outside of sin.
I was gonna say it's always drinking or TV or gossiping, and although those
Right.
things do, but there are other things that
Right.
aren't necessarily
Like deeper
as
issues.
preached.
Yeah,
Right.
deeper issues.
Or
Right.
like other people and just the noise of life, like
Yeah.
especially people who think they know best for you.
Yeah.
Who would like say that they're being influenced by God or like what the right thing is.
Right.
And those very forceful people can be very distracting from like listening to God speaking to you personally.
Yeah. Yeah. What other ways can block us? Because I think, I mean, yeah, the insecurities, the fear, other people, busyness.
Social media, but not on Theology Thursdays because that's a good thing.
Yeah. What else is a block?
Busyness is a good one. I think that's a good one.
Especially for this day and age where people are working like crazy and multitasking. Oh gosh, I hate that word. Multitasking. Everybody's supposed to multitask. I'm like, no, I don't. I need to focus on one thing.
I think a study came out that said multitasking is a lie.
Yeah.
Like most people can't do it.
Right. And I remember talking to somebody who was like, oh, multitask. I said, well, really, aren't you still doing one thing at a time? Even if it's for 10 seconds? Like, you're still kind of doing one thing at a time.
Doing little bits
It's just
of
little bits of
everything.
everything, but you're still doing one thing. So why not focus on that one thing? That's my approach. But what else can be blocks? Blocks to hearing from God. Pride, your ego, your insecurities, other people,
Noise.
busyness, noise.
Lack
Sin.
of knowing yourself.
Lack of knowing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We said insecurities, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How about your? Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, how about your insecurities with who and what God is, and only thinking that God can speak one way.
Yeah.
So when you don't hear a voice or you don't speak in tongues, then automatically like you're
Or
not
it's not in
connected.
Latin.
Or not in that.
So your insecurities as it relates to your connection to
Yeah.
God.
Well, that really, I feel that because growing up Catholic and being told that God is this one way, and we experience God when the Holy Spirit comes down and like gets into the Eucharist, and like it's still new to me to think about communicating directly with God, like not in a prayer that I've had memorized since I was like 8. So that's like I still feel weird like praying. It's still new to me.
Yeah.
And that's something I only started doing like in the past couple of years.
Wow.
And that is what kind of like, as I've been thinking about it, and then you told me about this thing, and I was like, oh. So but it's a very, so like tradition, I feel like, is something, or like just being taught something your whole life. This is the way that it is. And then sometimes the way that it is doesn't work or stops working for you.
Yeah.
And then you have to kind of like go against tradition, which can be
Yeah.
really like difficult, you know. So tradition definitely, I feel like, is something that blocks a lot of people.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It blocks
That's a
people
good
from
one.
reading the Bible. Like a lot
Yeah.
of Catholics don't even read the Bible.
Yeah.
They're like, why would I read the Bible? I go to church.
Yeah. That is
Good
a good one. Yeah. Tradition. That's big. Yeah. Anything else that might block you from hearing? Okay. So then, how can you prepare yourself to actually hear from God?
I'll go. I think we have to be. Well, there's a few things that I take into account. You have to be prepared that God is going to speak in different ways, but then we also have to be strategic about the time we spend and how we go about praying. And I think for me, it's more so about trying to eliminate some of those distractions and stick to the schedule. Like, so for me, I kind of need to stick to the schedule. Sometimes I may be distracted by that, whether because I'm too tired or some outside forces or things happening in my life. But I think being strategic about, like, this is this time sectioned off where I'm going to try to communicate or try to be at peace or be in God's presence. And nothing, and I won't let anything come between them.
Yeah.
So I think being consistent about it.
Yeah. Okay. So being consistent about setting aside time.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you also have to be willing to know that the time you set aside might not be when it happens.
Being flexible. Being flexible.
Yes.
Being flexible.
I might wake up at 3 in the morning.
I think being open
Being
to
open.
like whatever. Like I think that it was. I don't think that I would have thought like, oh, I'm gonna start going to this theology discussion on Thursdays. Like, that's not something that would have just come to me and come to me.
Yeah.
It's like a completely. Or like going to a Quaker meeting. Like it's just, and that was through another friend who was like, oh, you should try this out. Like just being open to like exploring new ways of relating to God. Because, like I said, just like the old way I wasn't getting anything out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think being sure to clear a space, and we're kind of talking about that, like clearing a space in your schedule, but clearing a space in your body and your emotions to kind of be open to hearing from God. And that could be anything from setting up your schedule. It can be anything from cleaning your closet or room or wherever it is that you want to kind of go away. But then also looking at what's going on in your mind. Like if I'm having a day where I'm so negative, like in my thoughts and in my speech, that might impact me preparing myself to hear from God because I'm just in this different space. And so having that clearing, I think, is important. And even rituals, a lot of times people do the rituals. They'll have water or candles or a Bible or the Quran or whatever. They'll have all sorts of different things to kind of physically be there and to bring them into that space, which can be helpful. But I also think slowing down.
Yeah.
Because like even as we're sitting here and there's all this noise around, you got the kids, you have the women behind us, you have the men playing chess, like that's kind of indicative of life. Like you have all this stuff going on, and how can you focus even still? Because I know we've all had issues like trying to focus.
Yeah,
Even I'm talking and I'm like, yeah, la 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 la, like looking, like still having a hard time focusing, but still knowing that everything.
As people walk in the
Right, as
background.
people walk in the
noticing.
background. Right. We're not going to always be able to like step away. So how can you make the space in the midst of busyness, in the midst of chaos? And I think sometimes that is about being still. God can be available to all of us if that's what you believe, and I know I believe that. And also looking at some of the emotional ties that we have. I think this goes into what you were saying about sin, how, and I don't really use that language, so I'll use the other language of being stubborn, having unforgiveness, being judgmental. All that stuff can impact how we're hearing and connecting to God, if we're still stuck in those modes, and finding ways to release that and move past that. Being attentive and being open, and those are the ones that I had, but you all came up with some great ones too. Anything to add to that?
I think I heard from God on the way here when I was sitting in traffic and being so angry, and part of me was like, I should just turn around and go home. I cannot handle this. And then I was like, I don't know. I just had that moment where I was like, no, I really need this. I really need to go, and it will be okay if I'm right. It's not gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
So even in the traffic and the horns and this and that, I still sometimes things cut through, and you just have to be prepared to go with it when you get that feeling.
Yeah. And the good thing about that is you came and you were 3 minutes early.
Yeah.
And so think if you didn't listen to that, you wouldn't have been here. But yeah. So that's it for me. Any final thoughts about hearing from God? Because we did part 1. This is part 2. That's all I got.
There's
No.
part 3.
What would be part 3?
This is it.
What would be part 3? What you got? It could be a part 3.
Well, for the people online or who's listening to this, if you go to theopenbox.com and sign up for the newsletter, you'll get our ebook entitled How to Hear from God. So it's 8 spiritual disciplines. Just a plug for signing up for our newsletter.
In case you thought that was going to be related to us ending.
No, I mean,
no, I know.
That
I
was
was just
gonna be
messing
my
with you.
question.
Yeah.
Yes, you gotta get the newsletter.
Yeah.
And there can be more. You can always reach out to us and let us know if you want to hear about some more stuff, and we can create it.
Yeah, actually, if you have any questions or anybody has any questions about this or anything, you can email us at info@theopenbox.com too.
Yeah.
And we will respond directly.
Absolutely. All right.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
We came, we saw, we conquered.
Is that what we did? Okay.
We know about God now. Just kidding.
We're going to close out with my typical close out, or are you going to close out the way you want to close out?
Okay. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Tune in next week where we will be talking about something else.
Yep.
We don't know yet. We'll figure it out.
Theopenbox.com. I'm at Mr. Terrell Harris on Twitter, at Landon Brook. What's my turn? You going to close with my
Peace
turn?
and blessings.
Peace and blessings. That's his thing.
Later.